whatever you call it, and it would then stop, and then I would come in solo, and these few, and then he would come back in, and I just loved singing with him. But okay, I was married in '59. By '62, we were living out, and I was a member of Shepherd of the Hills and singing in the choir. Then I think it would have been '74, probably '75. I was, I guess I was chairman of the personnel committee or something. Anyhow, when we lost the choir director, I was told, a friend of mine told me, you got this member, he's really good. And he gave me the name Harold Allring. So I met with Harold. I'd never met him, and he directed the choir. And I didn't realize it at the time, but he used to have some different endings on the songs, and I finally realized they were Barbershop tags on the end of the song, on the end of the anthem. But going back, I did have we were at the Old Log Theater some years before that. I don't remember how long. And in intermission, the Barbershop Quartet came out and sang for us. And I listened, but why didn't I pick up on that and check into it? I don't know. But then Harold Allring sold us tickets to the annual show in '76 in February, and we went, and there was Happiness Emporium, current reigning international champions singing. Wow. And the Roadrunners were singing, and wow. Now there were other quartets as well as a good chorus, but my memory isn't that good, but those two I remembered very clearly all the time. And so that's when I got involved in Barbershop. Because we sat at the director's table at the Afterglow, and I'll always remember Rod Johnson and his Crazy Guggenheim, that he did better, I think, than Jackie Gleason. But okay, so that's how I got in. That's how I started. I don't know why I'm a September member in '76, because I know right after the show I was probably going every week, but I finally did join. Then the '77 show, I'm singing in an octet, and I was singing lead, and the other lead sits right over there, Hardin Olson.
The Octones.
The Octones, was that the name?
Yep.
Yeah, and now again, I don't remember who else sang, but I always remember. My memory is poor. I always envy most of the guys I hear talking, because they remember everything. I don't. Then in '78 we got to International, and there I was in my Purina checkered shirt or whatever it was, barefoot. We took 5th place. Nothing to this thing. And but then '79 we were disappointed to only take 3rd place. And I think Commodores went to International every year starting in '78 until I left and moved to Denver. In Denver I joined the Denver Tech Chorus, which doesn't exist anymore, and Steve Shannon, who some of you know, was our director. And that was a great experience for a while. But I have to back up. My first quartet, I was looking for quartets. That always appealed to me, and I thought I could handle something. And I remember I asked Lee Altermat, because he was a good good bass. And he said, well, Darrell, he says, you know, you just don't have a lead voice. You can't help that. It's the voice you were born with. Well, I think, and okay, I understood. I could understood that, I guess. So that was when I switched to baritone. I guess I do have a darker voice. It works a little better as baritone or something. But then Rich Evans and I and Jerry Gould, and I do not remember the bass's name. We were the first organized. We never registered. This would have been in 78, 79. They were all, you remember Rich was like that, Jerry Gould was like that, and so was the bass. So I suggested the name that we were the 3/4 ton pickup. It never really took. And we did get together then, and Dave Goodwin on bass, and Joel Hansey on tenor, and that was my first real registered quartet. In 1980 at the division contest, Little Rascals were awarded, well, they won, and they also got the novice championship. At that time, later on, they said no, they weren't qualified. They had two guys with too much experience. So I never got any award for it, but we were the novice champion. District, they were there, and I think they won the district. But our quartet, Minnesota Jubilee, would you believe I have trouble remembering the name? We were novice champions in 1980. Rich Evans was a good lead, and he was a good promoter. We had a lot of gigs we were really active for 4 years. We took the novice, we were in 10th place, and then year after year, we moved 9th, 8th, and we got down to 7th, and then I think it was 84, we were back in 10th place at district. And I think we realized we weren't really ever going to go any further or something. Anyhow, Dave Goodwin was the first one to kind of retire from the quartet, and so that was the end of us. I really never got another quartet going until Jim Richards got me coming here. And you know, this was my kind of place to swim, I guess, because we were singing, but mainly I ended up singing with 3 guys fairly often. And they were a quartet, but their baritone didn't come here. So I sang with them quite a bit. And then eventually, Jerry Larson got me to switch and come to the Bloomington chapter. And I did, because they were there, and again, their baritone wasn't there. So Jerry, Harlan, and Jim, and I was invited as baritone. Now, I've said many times, joining their quartet was my first mistake there, because they had treated me so nice until I became a member. You know, in the first rehearsal, I have to tell you, the first rehearsal that I was invited to, they said 6:30. Well, I soon learned that 6:30 really meant 6:15. But I got there about 6:32, and they were all sitting around the table, and it was a long time. I never heard the end of that. But I was never late again. So, I have learned to take it. Being a baritone is tough enough, but nothing like that quartet. Let's see, I don't know what I've missed. Came back in the early 90s. Now I'm, Dave Goodwin said, oh yeah, you can sing with the GNU. You know, I knew I had to, and I did qualify. Bob Dama and somebody else were auditioning me, and I trying to sing the melody, trying to read the music. And I can read music. If I got three other guys singing the right note, then I know where I'm at. But when I'm singing all by myself, I kind of struggled for about 3 bars, and then all of a sudden I kind of got a feel for what it was. And thank God then I was able to sing the lead part. And so I'm back going to international just about every year from, this was 91 until early 20s. And then now I'm spending too much time down in Arizona and so forth. I could not keep up with the GNU. And so I switched over, well, I kept my membership, but I switched to the Commodores. Pretty soon I realized I couldn't keep up with them either, Paul. So Bloomington was good. We had a good time. We had a very good time. I sort of a hero worshiper, and hearing about Wiley Tuesday just blew my mind, because I was going to mention one of the things I did. Apache, I'm going to hire a quartet to come and entertain. And I talked to them, okay, what's their fee? I think it was $300. I said, okay, I'm going to pay it $325 because I'm going to sing radio instead of Wiley, which I did, and that was a lot of fun. I also did the similar thing at our church. I hired Happiness Emporium. Bob wasn't singing with them anymore, but Rick Anderson was. And same thing, I paid him an extra $25 so I could sing a song with him. Other times I had a good time. I had, three long cruises. I had, I took some music along and put a little blurb in the ship's paper that went around, and finally was able to put together a quartet. But in the process, I was singing in the church choir there, or the Protestant choir, I should say, on the ship. And I'm singing tenor, and he's sitting next to me as I hear the voice and I listen. There's my lead. And so we had a lot of fun because we sang at tables and after dinner. And one time we were leaving, walking out, and the guy said, could you guys come to what's the name of the bar? The fine dining on the American Express. Bob, you know that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, Pinnacle Grill. Yeah, okay, we did. Well, we got there, and it turned out it was the captain and his wife, the hotel manager and his wife, and this guy and his wife. He had been the maitre d' on ship. Now he married one of his passengers, and who was obviously wealthy. So now he was a guest on the ship. But that had something to do with our singing, putting on a little gig at ahead of the evening show in the showroom one night. And the captain told the cruise director, let these guys sing. So we did. And we were well received. I appreciated that. But then we went on another long cruise a year and a half later. And the first night at dinner, I walk and I look ahead as we're waiting to go in. And there's Ray Coleman. He was the lead on that I'd had a year and a half before. And so we got a quartet going again. And then the third cruise didn't work quite so well, but because Ray wasn't there, and the lead that I was able to find, well, we were struggling until Rob Campbell, Paul Wigley knows him. He's out in the West Coast. He's a judge, and he's fairly well known in fact, he, my girl, it was his arrangement. I said, "Oh, there's Bob Campbell," and so I talked to Paul and found out. So, but those were great times. But well, with the gigs, I forgot to mention with the Minnesota Jubilee. You know, we sang at a chapter show in a little town in northwestern Wisconsin. I don't remember the name of the town, but we were the headliners. You had to get that far away from town to be headliners. So, but we were, and the afterglow and the afterglow, we were standing around, and we had these people standing around us. We sang everything we knew. And this is Barbershop, and this is what I love and had loved, I still love. These three guys have been for years sort of keeping me, they're my anchor or something. Jerry Larson, Harlan Mellon, and Jim Heading, we are fading away together, I guess, but we're still having a good time doing it. And I've never met a barbershopper that I don't like. That's the honest to God truth, and I thank you all. And if you have any questions,